WWE Wrestlemania 29 pay-per-view review. The pay-per-view went there a little while ago. As far as my thoughts of this year's WrestleMania, I thought it delivered more than what it should have. The three main events for this WrestleMania, the main event with Rock and Cena, they out-topped their match from last year. Much more entertaining this year. Lesnar and Triple H was a great brawl and fight. Shockingly, Triple H's career is not over. He is actually the one that defeated Lesnar in that match. And obviously, the streak stays intact, but CM Punk and Undertaker had an incredible match. My expectations for the match going in were pretty low as far as, the way the build-up has been for that match and the way they've just been, utilizing Paul Bearer's death, and that's really the only thing they had with that match. My expectation wasn't that high for that match, and that delivered. Probably my favorite match of the night was CM Punk and Undertaker. The main event was pretty damn good, though. And the undercard, now going into Mania, obviously we knew the undercard was going to be pretty lackluster, and it was. I'm not going to lie and say the undercard over-delivered. It didn't, but I would say you didn't have anything that was god-awful and terrible. Probably the only thing that you might be able to put in that category is the Ryback versus Mark Henry match. Not only did you have the wrong person go over in that match with Mark Henry win the match, it just bad ending and everything, and because especially with Ryback looking strong post-match, it was dumb to have Mark Henry go over there. That was really one of the bad outcomes there. And then some of the other stuff was okay at best. The world title match delivered more than what I was expecting. I did enjoy that, but obviously the matches that everyone needs to see are the three main events of this show, which were the last three matches of WrestleMania. Pretty much the last hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes of the show was incredible and great. And you just need to see those three matches if you check anything out this year for WrestleMania. But let me get into the review. The first match was the pre-show match. On the pre-show, you had the Miz versus Wade Barrett for the Intercontinental Championship. This is a match we've seen several times on Raw and SmackDown. This was a TV match, nothing too special, but wasn't a bad match either. It was, good for, a free match that was just shown on, the pre-show on WWE.com and everything. And they did what they did. And The Miz won the match. He is the new Intercontinental Champion, so I'm glad that The Miz went over in that match and is now the Intercontinental Champion. I'll say, for a pre-show match, this match we've seen before, it was at least, watchable, about 2 1/4, 2.5 stars. Then the pay-per-view started, the first match of the pay-per-view, which really shocked me. This was the opener of the pay-per-view. That this was the match with the Shield versus Sheamus, Randy Orton, and Big Show. Did not expect this to start the show, but it was a good match to start the pay-per-view. I mean, it was pretty enjoyable to start with. What they did at the beginning of the match was more or less the Shield, having Big Show in their corner, back and forth tags, taking him down. So they were pretty much working him most of the match at the beginning. Then Sheamus got in there. Orton did his stuff. You saw at the end, Seth Rollins, he went for a springboard onto Orton. He went for a springboard. Orton caught him with the RKO. Really good stuff at the end of the match. And the Shield end up winning this match after Reigns spears Randy Orton. So the Shield's undefeated streak is still intact, which I'm glad they did that. And then post-match, they did stuff with the Big Show. After post-match, he KO punched Sheamus and Randy Orton. Thankfully, they did that stuff post-match, and that was not, something with Big Show. It was somewhat of him fully turning, post-match with him doing it on them. But thankfully, it didn't do it in a way where he would join, the Shield or something. That would have been god-awful and terrible. So at least they did it in the way post-match that was okay. As far as the match, good opener, good solid opener, 2 3/4 stars, 3-star match. Good way to start the pay-per-view. Then the next matchup was Mark Henry versus Ryback. Just like the opener, kind of didn't expect it to go on as the second match of the show. I was not expecting too much from it. I thought it was going to be a little better than what it ended up being, because I thought, two guys like Ryback and Mark Henry, they could have used the size and strength factor, and, the two powerhouses taking on each other. You'd expect a little more from it, and just did not deliver too much. I wouldn't say it was god-awful, but the thing I hated the most about was the outcome of the match. What they did was Ryback had Mark Henry up in the shell shock, so he did lift him up, was able to get him in the shell shock, was about to hit it. Then Mark Henry grabbed the rope and then pretty much landed on Ryback's back. All his weight landed on Ryback, and Ryback loses that way. Then post-match, Ryback does look strong post-match with him hitting the shell shock to Mark Henry post-match. So obviously with him doing that post-match, we'll see these two take on each other again. But it was just a terrible decision having Ryback lose here. This wasn't a win that he needed. Mark Henry, what does he really need this win for? No one wants to see him further pushed to the main event. So I think they did a terrible decision there with Ryback losing that match. Then the next match after this was Dolph Ziggler and Big E Langston versus Team Hell No. A fairly entertaining tag match. Nothing spectacular or great, but a good, solid match nonetheless. Dolph Ziggler and Daniel Bryan did some good stuff in here. And I gotta say, Big E Langston, he looked fairly good in this match. I'm not much of a fan of him, but he looked fairly good in this match. Him and Kane did some good stuff, I thought. And the end of the match came when Dolph Ziggler, he's the one that took the pinfall in this match with Team Hell No retaining the tag team titles, which was a smart move to do. Keep the titles on Team Hell No. As far as they're extremely over with the crowd, you need to keep the titles on them. Just keep pushing them the way they do, and don't split the team up until you desperately need to, I would say. As far as the match, about 3-star match. Good, okay tag match. Then the next matchup was Fandango versus Chris Jericho. This was a match I wasn't looking forward to at all because I thought this was the worst way to use Chris Jericho at WrestleMania, for him to be in this match against Fandango in his debut match. Now, I will give Fandango credit. As terrible as his gimmick it is, at least in the ring, he wasn't too bad. I actually got to say, Jericho made him look good in the match. Other than the sloppy finish of the match with the roll-up at the end where it just looked really god-awful. What they did at the finish was Chris Jericho was going for the Lion Salt, and then Fandango put his knees up, so that caught Jericho. Then Jericho was trying to then lock into the walls of Jericho, and then a really sloppy roll-up in at the match. So very bad way to end the match. With the match that I actually thought before that, very sloppy ending, it wasn't that bad. So really the thing that hurt that match was the very, very sloppy finish for that match. About, for the match, 2.5, 2 3/4 stars. It wasn't a bad match, and Jericho did try his best to make Fandango look as good as he possibly could. And I actually think that he might have some potential, even though the gimmick is god-awful and terrible. He didn't seem too bad in the ring, I gotta say. Then the next matchup was Jack Swagger versus Alberto Del Rio for the World Heavyweight title. Obviously, going in this match, this was one of the matches, when it first got announced, these two were going to take on each other after, Jack Swagger won the match in Elimination Chamber. Got a lot of media attention, then kind of died off, with everything. But as far as the match, these two had a fairly good match. I was not really expecting much from it, but I thought these two did some good stuff. Some good back and forth action between both of them, some good counters and reversals. Good work, good mat work and stuff from Swagger. Just really entertaining match. Not a match I would say that was spectacular and you must see the match, but it was delivered past my expectations. I wasn't expecting much from it to begin with. And Alberto Del Rio wins the match. He retains the title after Swagger taps out of the cross arm breaker. So Alberto Del Rio is still the champion. I know a lot of people were thinking, Swagger might have won this match, and then after it, Dolph Ziggler cash in. There was no, Money in the Bank cash in here. Dolph Ziggler didn't do that, and Alberto Del Rio still is the champion, which obviously this is somewhat payback. They still had Swagger in this match at WrestleMania, but this is obviously payback for, the incident with Swagger, a little while back with the, the marijuana possession and everything. So this was his payback, taking the fall at WrestleMania, losing this match, and Alberto retained the title. About, 3 1/4 star match. And then after this is when the show really picked up. This is when you had, the 3 main events. And instead of other years when you have, 3 main event type matches where you have like some filler match in between one of them or some segment in between both of them or all of them, you just had them back to back. And this was the first of the main event. This was CM Punk versus Undertaker. Undertaker's shriek on the line in this match, going in 20 and 0. And will he make it 20 and 1? Obviously, 21 and 0. He did. The streak still intact. Great match. Loved it. Good counters and reversals match. I loved it. The other thing was Living Color, the band that does the Cult of Personality song, sung CM Punk to the ring. So that was a great WrestleMania moment right there. But then you had the match with Undertaker and CM Punk, some great stuff in there. Just love the whole entire match. Probably my favorite match of the night was this match, CM Punk versus Undertaker. I mean, Undertaker, we don't see him much. We really only see him at WrestleMania, but Undertaker always delivers a great match at WrestleMania, no matter who he's taking on. It's going to be an incredible match. Even this year when you had CM Punk and Undertaker, the build-up was very lackluster. A lot of people weren't really looking forward to the match because of the whole build-up being that bad. But the match was incredible. Great match. A match everyone needs to see. I love the stuff they did with the counters of the, go to sleep and the tombstone, especially when CM Punk hit the go to sleep and Undertaker, just bounced back into the ropes and then hit the tombstone on CM Punk, and that was great. And then CM Punk finally loses this match to Undertaker after Undertaker hits the second tombstone to CM Punk, and CM Punk loses the match. And the Shriek stays intact, which obviously is the thing everyone saw coming, and it's going to be one of those things you don't want to ever have the Shriek in. It would be terrible if it did, so that's great. They kept it intact, and you had an incredible match with CM Punk versus Undertaker. Then the next matchup was the second of the main events. This was Triple H versus Brock Lesnar in the No Holds Barred match with Triple H's career on the line. This match was much better than their match at SummerSlam. I know a lot of people had mixed feelings about their match at SummerSlam. I actually enjoyed it a lot. I know some people didn't, but this match was much better than their match they had at SummerSlam. A lot of great brawling, a lot of good fighting, stuff around outside the ring. Lesnar was just manhandling Triple H in this match, beating the shit out of him. I mean, I don't know how many, belly to belly suplexes he gave Triple H in this match. A couple Germans. There was a table spot in here. Triple H tried to utilize the sledgehammer in here as well. Steps got involved in this match as well, which was the way the match ended. With the end of the match, you saw Triple H keep on locking in the Kimura onto Brock Lesnar, trying to get Brock Lesnar to tap out from the Kimura. He basically locked in about 3 times. Lesnar kept on getting out of it, and they were doing this spot on the ring steps that were in the ring that Lesnar threw into the ring. And Lesnar kept on breaking out of the Kimura, picking Triple H up, slamming him on the ring steps. So it looked like, Lesnar was getting the offense right there. And then Triple H ends up hitting the pedigree onto the steps to win the match. So Triple H's career is not over. And he shockingly, wins this match and beats Brock Lesnar. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming with Brock Lesnar losing this match. A lot of people thought, with the career on the line with Triple H, that this was probably going to be his last match in WWE, but obviously it's not. And I have no problem with the outcome. I actually like the outcome a lot. Just great match right there, great brawl. I mean, the match before, you saw some good, back and forth wrestling and stuff with Undertaker and CM Punk. This was more just a brawl and fight, but great stuff nonetheless in the match. Then you had the main event, which was obviously the second in a lifetime. This was The Rock versus John Cena for the WWE title. This was the main event. They took on each other last year. Obviously, The Rock won last year, so Cena went up against him this year to see if he could go 1-1. Cena ends up winning the title in this match, and just incredible match, I thought, for the main event. This match was much better than their match at last year's WrestleMania. They definitely out-topped it. I mean, the stuff at the end was just great. The stuff with, the rock bottom and attitude adjustment, counters and everything. Just really enjoyable match. Those last 3 matches are the thing everyone needs to see this year at WrestleMania. As far as the main event, really enjoyed it. John Cena wins the match, is the new WWE champion. So that's a good thing right there. We'll just have to wait and see who he's going to take on next at Extreme Rules next month. Not sure who's going to be. Are we going to see, him and Triple H, since Triple H did win his career match? But we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. But as far as this WrestleMania, I would definitely recommend people to check it out. I give it probably about an 8 out of 10, maybe 8.25 out of 10. As far as the main event, I give that easily, 4 and 1/4 stars. Really good match. Best match of the night was CM Punk and Undertaker, though. And that's it for my WWE WrestleMania 29 pay-per-view review. All right, peace.